To be informed is to be empowered. And when you're empowered, you have better leverage to be engaged better. Welcome to another episode here at Speak Up Afrika, where we continue to bring you conversations that aim to inform, engage, and empower. And today I have a colleague in the leadership and governance space, an acquaintance that I hold with high regards, and has come to tell us that this regime has brought empowerment to the young people. We want to unpack how that has happened, how true that is qua ground, and we listen to different perspectives of that. Duale, welcome to Speak Up Afrika.
Thank you so much, Wendy, for giving me this golden opportunity to come and speak at Speak Up podcasts,
Yes.
so that we can contribute something that will add value to the national conversation and shape the political landscape of our country today. So thank you so much.
Fantastic. Before the cameras were rolling, you are not in the ballot in 2027, but you will work to mobilize, to bring clarity to young people. And there's an element that feels like our sitting government has done quite a bit. Let's start there. As a young person in this country, and you engage in the space of leadership and governance, how would you rate the performance of our sitting government?
Well, that's a good question. And when we talk about governments, there are so many sectors that we need to unpack. We have the political sector, we have the social sector, economic, that is, we also have the environment. So to me, the government has actually done good thing on some sectors and has done bad on some sectors. That's one. One of the most motivating is the aspect of the social sector, which is the social inclusion. I come from northern Kenya, Wendy, and we have never ever witnessed a government that supports people from northern Kenya. In fact, we had the 63rd Madaraka Day celebration. Personally, I was born and raised in northern Kenya. I've never. That's why you saw that day. It was so emotional because it was so unexpected that a president will come and give a guard of honor in front of us, whereby the locals can just see. Because these are some of the things that we used to watch on television. These are some of the things that used to happen in other areas, but in northern Kenya, it was impossible. So the aspect of social inclusivity, as a Kenyan, feeling that I belong to Kenya, that is some of the things that is so underrated. But some Kenyans may take it as granted. But as a son who was born and raised in northern Kenya, that was something that was so monumental, and it was a defining moment. So for things like social inclusion, the government has done well in promoting the marginalized and minority group. Again, on some other days, we saw there was a meeting that was held in State House, whereby the government, the president, was having a session with the people of marginalized and minority groups. So on the social inclusion, the social sector, the government has done well. Okay. And that one I give 8 out of 10, because now everybody feels that I am a Kenyan. Okay. I feel empowered and I can contribute something to the national conversation. Now going to other sectors, as Kenyans, we have been feeding our minds on negativities, that this is a bad government, they are doing nothing. But I'm challenging all of us. Do we have statistics that the government, yes, they have done this? For anything to happen, Wendy, there is something that necessitated for that thing to happen. Okay, a good example now, we have an economic crisis, but it's not only in Kenya. If you watch the global news, you will realize that this is a global crisis.
I agree.
It's not only in Kenya. So why then can we punish our own government while this is a global crisis? Again, why are we saying that the government has not delivered, yet the government has delivered on some other sectors?
Allow me to come in and ask you, from what you've highlighted, number one, is it a political and emotional move to have brought the 63rd celebration of Madaraka Day to the northern part to win son of the soils like you, who will feel like that is inclusion? Because then I would ask you, is there follow-up development that will happen? It was a significant day that the celebrations were done there, but of the highlighted moments, is there development that is happening in that part of the country that we can tangibly say this transformation?
Actually, I will say yes. And let's even not go that far. A good example is, I'm sure, Wendy, in your plans, you have a plan to visit Wajir, right or wrong? You might have a plans to visit
Yeah.
Wajir.
Yeah.
And when you are going there, you are adding something to the economy, because after you go there, we have hospitality industry, and you are going to add up. And let me say this, Northern Kenya, the population is not equal to the allocation of money or allocation of resource to those counties. Okay, that's one. Number two, when it comes to budget allocation, it's not again equal to the exact number of population that we
That
have
is there.
Northern Kenya. Now, when we were having the Madaraka Day celebration, I can attest to you, Garissa and Wajir, they have gotten so many benefits from that Madaraka Day celebration. I can attest to you, Wajir County was transformed in 1 month. That stadium that you saw, it was completed in 1 month. So that's an advantage to the people of Wajir. Okay?
So, Mohammed, if then there were never plans to have the 63rd Madaraka celebrations there, the stadium would not have been completed with the speed that it was.
Not really.
No, it's a no, yes.
No, yeah.
No, yeah. It would not have been completed. So
But
do you
with that
know
reason,
it's the right of the people from the northern part of this country to have projects started and completed, regardless of whether we will have national celebrations in their areas. So do you think it is a fault? Let me put this into perspective, Mohammed. Do you know Kenyans have been yani wameteseka sana until we take breadcrumbs from our leaders. A leader will come and give you bursaries. That is our right. That is our taxpayers' money. But because we are so used to struggling and we are so used to receiving nothing, we will praise them and celebrate them for doing a job that we put them into the office to do. Do you think that is the case in Northern Kenya?
not really. Simply because for the Madaraka Day celebration, the credit goes to the national government. Remember, we have a devolved governance system. We have the county government and we have the national government. For the Madaraka Day celebration, the credit goes to the national government, because this is something that we never expected because of political moves, because of historical awareness. And historical awareness is supposed to guide strategy, but not put the state or the nation in a state of victimhood. Okay, so that's one. Number two, again, you see, Wendy, when it comes to having the rights fulfilled, leaders trying to actually do their obligation as leaders, that is something that's not a favor, and I agree with you. But again, as I have told you, northern counties, the money, the budget that they get is not equivalent to the population. Again, they have priorities. We have the sector, the education sector, whereby we don't have proper schools. Again, we don't have healthcare system. But again, that is not something that we can blame the budget. It's again the leaders. But to be specific, the county leaders. So there is a leadership deficit. And that one, we can't say that we will blame the national government or the government of President William Samoei Ruto. No. This government have given them an opportunity to thrive. So it's them to see this as an opportunity to uplift their communities, their people. But again, you can't force someone. You can take a donkey to the river, but you can't force them to drink.
Okay. Mohammed, you greatly work with young people. And majorly, that is why we're even having this conversation today. someone would argue and say, right now, young people are very angered. We are reactive, from emotions. What would define effective leadership in the state of our nation right now?
Thank you. And that is the question that I love answering it with passion, with sincerity, and with utmost good faith. I'm also a young man and I live in Kenya. And one thing that we need to understand, you cannot pour water from an empty cup. You know, when we are talking about leadership, it's all about leading the people. So, how can I then lead the people when I cannot lead myself? First of all, it starts with you that I am a young person. What do I need for me to build the nation? Or what do I need to lead my fellow youngsters? Okay. So, first of all, you need to lead yourself by getting the right knowledge, the right skills, the right expertise, in that you understand how government operates, how government works. Because you can't tell me that today you just wake up one morning and you want to become a director or you want to become an MCA or an MP without you understanding. And that is equivalent to a situation whereby you enter into this room, your eyes are closed. So you won't have the ability to see that there is a camera here. But the moment you enter into this room, your eyes are open, the lights are on, you are able to see. That is similar to when you understand something, when you have clarity on something, when you have knowledge on something. Actually, what I can say on the young people is that the thing that they need with utmost good faith as of now is to develop themselves, to be financially stable, to be economically good, to be socially or culturally sensitive, because you are leading a society. Wendy, you need to understand one of the components of emotional intelligence is social awareness. And social awareness is all about understanding the social norms, the social values, the social order, the social conditioning, and the social control. Because amazingly, the society that we live in today is driven by unwritten rules. So you need to understand. So understanding it enables you to be culturally sensitive and culturally aware, in that you will be able to understand the priorities and the needs of the people. So, to the young people, what I can say is it's high time that they need to assess and evaluate themselves, to ask themselves the question, do I fit for that thing that I'm running for? To work on their competency. Because, Wendy, in politics, if you want to be very effective, you need to have three, either of these three. It can be, you can have one, or if you have all of them, then well and
You're
good.
safer.
Number one, you need to be a strategist. Okay. And being strategy is you are contributing something that you are bringing it out of your mind. Okay. And strategy is all about reading, understanding, comparing the political regimes that we have. What were the disconnects? What can I contribute? Because that's being a strategist. Or you are a lobbyist, that if, let's say, Wendy is a governor and I want to be close to her, then I have to lobby for her audience, because politics is all about number. And the other one is, maybe, do you have money that you can contribute or you can support?
I think in our Kenyan political arena, it starts the other way: money and then lobbying and then strategy.
But amazingly, that one, what I can say is what I have, and most of the politicians that we have today, they are aware that these youngsters, they do not have money. Politicians expect two things from the young people. Are you a strategist? Are you someone who can bring something within the political strategy formula? Are you able to make these politicians survive within the political ecosystem? And by surviving means you don't loot resources. By surviving means, are you able to deliver to the public, in that you earn public trust and public confidence?
Mohammed, interesting things you had said just before we pivot the conversation, because I want us to look at how then do young people of this country move from activism to leadership. But there's something you mentioned that our leaders need to. You need the element of understanding the space that you're going into. How our president allocated our CSs, do you think they are competent enough to handle those dockets from the achievements we've seen, from the history and the record that we have, and the days that we keep counting, even as we look towards getting to 2027? Do you think it was competency based?
That one, I will answer it with confidence and without fear of contradiction.
Please do.
A coward dies 100 times, but a lion will die once. President William Samoei Ruto is a good master. But the people who are failing him are the people that he appointed to the respective ministries that they have. Because these are people that, first of all, that were given to those positions as a tool for reward.
Yes.
Okay, through political loyalty.
Yeah.
Okay, so then that means they were not given to those positions based on technocracy and meritocracy or merit-based qualification. Because these people, they supported this government. So they got that as a tool for reward through their political loyalty. Number two, see, just assess them. See, we actually had the fuel crisis. Some of the leaders, when they were making those, when there is a crisis, there is a way leaders are expected to communicate to the people.
Yeah.
By not competing with them, Wendy. No, by addressing the issue in a manner that is empowering and in a manner that is solution focused.
Yeah.
But they can't. They can't even manage a crisis. In fact, if there is a mandamano, there is a protest, and the people are angry, if one of them open their mouth, it will even escalate. It's like there is a fire and you are adding up fuel on it.
Yeah.
It's like that. So I can say totally they don't qualify for those seats. But again, there is no option because politics again embraces political loyalty. Okay? And that's how
But
they are.
is that how it's supposed to be?
No, very, very wrong. Because the government have to deliver their manifesto. Remember, President William Samoei Ruto had his manifesto, which was the better, that is the bottom-up economic transformation.
Has he achieved anything from the manifesto he gave us? Mama mboga, mtu wa boda boda, kutakuwa bottom-up economy, itakuwa sawa. Has he? What percentage do you think he's been able to achieve from the manifesto he gave us during his campaigns?
Wendy, that plan was very good. But where they fail is the implementation. And it's not the president, but rather the people whom he expected them to deliver on his behalf. Okay, that's one. Number two, there are some areas whereby he delivered. Okay, like what can I say? Some of the examples, SHA, at some point you hear it's working, at some point it's not working. Again, we saw in the Nyota program, okay, it's at some point it's delivering, but again,
can we count a handful of things we can say has been delivered by the sitting government?
Okay, currently I can't because I don't have the exact data, and this is we are contributing something to a national conversation.
I agree,
and it's unethical to give statistics whereby you don't have the actual data. Yeah, so maybe
it's safe to say it's a gray area as to what they've achieved, but it's very black and white to what they've not achieved.
Yes.
Fantastic. As we continue the conversation, how then do young people move from activism to leadership? There's something I really liked that you mentioned even before the camera started rolling. We need to tame our emotions. And I think that really needs to be emphasized, that let's move away from emotional politics to structural politics. As you continue mobilizing and working with young people, how do you think we can move from being activists on the ground, social media warriors, to practical leaders on the ground that will bring change?
Number one is knowledge. And when I'm saying knowledge, I don't mean that people have to go back to school and all that. What I mean by knowledge is people have to connect the dots and understand the political history of Kenya from Jomo Kenyatta, from Moi, Mwai Kibaki, Uhuru Kenyatta till date and connect the dots. You know, understanding the history will enable you to appreciate the present. Number two, the historical awareness that you will have will enable you to have the right strategy. And that will enable you to connect the dots. So the first one is getting the right knowledge. Number two, working on their competency before even seeking the respective seat that they are looking for. Today, yes, I went to school. I studied political science and I majored on policy and public administration. Okay. But Wendy, I can't tell you that I am confident today to vie for any seat because when I'm saying I'm actually taking an oath, and if I will not deliver, then I am going to receive punishment from God. Okay. So it's not good to be self centered. And you know, within the African ecosystem, for one to be rich, one must join politics.
That's what I wanted to ask you because Mohammed, honestly, right now, even as I navigate different quarters of young people, manze vijana wanakuambia either wataingia mambo ya wash, you know, ama gava. Everyone is like, we are waiting for our time to get into office to become rich. So they're not even looking to be competent. They're just looking for money to be able to fund the campaign and get into office and eat tenders.
And that's where we are going wrong. That's why I'm saying you need to work on your competency because the moment you are sailing below the poverty index and you want to join politics, so what does your intention say? Your intention says you are not there. You are not seeking that seat for you to deliver. Okay? But you are seeking so that you enrich yourself. And that's where the problem comes. And you see, changing the narrative, you don't expect a rocket science or something to come from heaven. Changing the narrative starts with a single person. Okay, so the second one that I was saying is to work on the competency. And working the competency is sharpening your skill. That do I really, if today I'm given any seat, am I able to manage it? And managing it, how do you understand managing it? Okay, because as I have told you earlier, we have the component of emotional intelligence, which now I'm coming to the third point, is researchers have said, Wendy, that success in 21st century depend on how emotionally intelligent you are. And Wendy, emotional intelligence equals to emotional competence. Now, emotional intelligence that I'm talking about encompasses 5 key elements that is very, very important. The first one is self-awareness. Do you first of all know yourself? Are you able to know your strength, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats? That's you as an individual. Okay, because do you know that, Wendy, the moment I trigger you and you respond emotionally, I have warned you.
That's true.
Then automatically I am going to trigger more and more so that you can respond emotionally. That's the first one,
Because
self-awareness.
you've known my weakness.
Exactly. Number two, social awareness. You need to understand the societal ecosystem because there are values, there are norms, there are cultures that you need to understand, and understanding them enable you to embrace and appreciate the human condition. That's social awareness. Number three, relationship management. How do you relate with everyone? Wendy, to me, I can say it's so disrespectful to see my fellow youngsters on media insulting publicly leaders. You know, we don't know what tomorrow holds, Wendy. Okay. And the moment you are finger pointing on something, remember, it's one finger that is pointing on that person. The rest, the 4 fingers are pointing on you.
Mohammed, question.
Let
Our
me-
leaders, they themselves stand on podiums at rallies on top of Land Cruisers and throw and halt insults on each other. How differently then should young people address them if they themselves, from the topmost office of this country to our former deputy, to our deputy, that's what they're doing?
Okay. Relationship. Let me finish the emotional elements component.
Please.
Then
Okay.
relationship management. The other one is self-regulation and self-motivation. So being emotionally intelligent enables you to be emotionally competent, and it enables you to navigate situation. It enables you to survive and thrive with situations. Coming back to the question, I will answer it with a question. If, let's say today, Wendy, someone came and told you that, Wendy, I am a fool and I want you to subscribe to my philosophy, will you then allow? Wendy, it's a yes or no question. Automatically.
No.
So if the leaders are doing wrong things, you need to be better than them. You need to treat that this a person who is doing this because of maybe necessity, because of, let's say, lack of personal development things, you need to actually have an excuse on them. But you are not supposed to say that if they stand on the podium, they insult. You are not supposed to respond with insults, because that's not appreciating the human condition. Remember, after all, humanity is the thing that should survive. Okay? And tomorrow, that seat that you are sitting on it will not be yours. We have shown so many presidents. We usually see President Uhuru Kenyatta now, who is just an ordinary citizen like us. Okay? And tomorrow you will leave that seat. So, and I remember a speech that President Uhuru Kenyatta was making is, if you want to know the true measure of a man, watch what he does with power. Because there is a moment you are going to vacate that seat and you will go back to the ordinary citizens. So to answer your question is, I don't think you need to respond, okay, to everything that these leaders say. But the only way you can challenge them is your democratic right of voting them out.
Great. And a great part of exercising that democratic right is public participation. Mohammed, how then do we engage young people more? And how practical does public participation look like for the youth of Kenya today?
A very good question. Again, now public participation is a right, and you don't owe any permission for you to participate in anything that the government is undertaking. Now, again, this public participation, Wendy, how informed are you? There are so many policies that are being rolled out today by the government. So are you aware? Do you watch news? Do you read gazettes? Okay. Are you informed on the number of policies that the government is stipulating? Okay. And the best that the youth can do is to start public participation from the grassroots level, in that they challenge or they take part when the counties are developing their county integrated development plans that runs for a 5-year period. Okay, none of these youth are aware. So if the youth are not aware that there is a county integrated development plan, then how are they going to maintain accountability at the county level? We are only focusing at national
level.
but everything starts from the bottom. Okay, they need to challenge, they need to take part in the county development integrated plan that is being rolled by Kipra in partnership with the National Treasury. So it starts from the grassroots. And for you to know that it's starting from the grassroots, then again it depends how informed you are. So the first one is information, getting the right information. Okay, and getting the right information is reading the gazettes, watching news, reading articles and journals. So information is the only way we can enhance public participation. And number 2 is civic awareness. That in public participation, you as a youth, as a citizen, what is your role? Okay, you should not see this thing that's something that is not going to affect you later. You should see that this is something that is going to affect you, however much you are not on the table of decision making. So I think those are the 2 key things that can be strengthened, and it will enable us to have an effective public participation amongst the youth.
Okay. We are operating at crossroads. I remember during our finance bill protests, young people were saying we are leaderless, we are tribeless, we are movementless. We are just a people of this country that want change. But we cannot ignore the part that political parties play in our politics today. What are the realities between going independent and being in a political party to challenge the status quo of our government?
Wendy, today you can't tell me that you want to be in government, you want to do something that relates with political matters and governance issue, and you don't belong to a political party. That is very, very impossible. Okay, why? Because The genesis of political parties is to form government and run nations. That is the genesis of political parties. Okay. Now, in political parties, you are able to influence government policies, government decisions. Okay. You are able to position yourself strategically at the table of decision making through political parties. Okay. So, belonging to a political party is very, very key. And now, belonging to a political party will expose these youngsters to the actual realities of politics within the political ecosystem. Because there are some things that we talk about, and there is the realities on the ground. The same way people talk about corporate politics. So in political parties, again, we have the politics itself, whereby there is bureaucratic hindrances, nepotism, tribalism, and all that. That's why today, if you see, most of the political parties are formed based on ethnic mobilization and ethnic centralization. Okay, you look at all the political parties who have occupied people from that region. Okay, so then that now tells us that our politics has shifted from politics of actually diversity to a politics of ethnic mobilization and ethnic centralization. That again is a shift that young politicians must again focus and examine that phenomena. Yes, the Gen Zs, when they were coming out clearly, they were good. But again, you see, the political elites had to domesticate them. And by domesticating them is to gather their weakness or their weak point. And most of their weak point was actually poverty. Okay? That's why today, if you see, leave alone the national politicians, the youngsters today, they are grouping themselves based on ethnicity and the regions that they come from. Okay, so what I can say from that is there is need for youngsters to belong to a political party, even if you are not vying. Okay, now that political party will expose these youngsters to the actual realities of politics within the political ecosystem.
Mohammed, I hear you, and I want us to spend a bit of minutes there to unpack, because that's a very heavy matter. When we tell young people to join political parties that are there, there's a high probability that they will conform to the politics of these old guards. And there's a need to move away from how old politics has been played with ethnic groups, geographical demarcations, and tribalic lines. But Mohammed, if young people then come and join old parties that are in existence, there's a high probability that they might join the traditions that have been there in that party, and we will circle back in the same cycles and no change will be there. True or false?
True. But again, there is something that we need to accept, and which is appreciating the historical awareness. The history is actually what set the system that is going to govern each and every political parties. We have each and every party, like let's talk about ODM. I think ODM is the big, not even I think,
It is, yeah,
the biggest party in Kenya today as we have. And ODM has actually produced revolutionaries, people who fought for this country. Okay, so now if you want to tell me that you will join ODM and you want to ignore the old politicians, it will be impossible. It's very impossible. Why? Because you as a youngster, you want to run, you want to go. Okay, but this old politician, they know the road. They know the road, and that is an actual reality that we must accept. So the best way is to integrate or amalgamate the young and the old.
Will the old listen?
Automatically they will.
Have they been listening?
To me, yes.
Let's talk about ODM. 2 questions. Number 1, do you think they will survive the heat after the passing on of Right Honorable Amolo Odinga? Because the other day we saw they had a rally in Kisumu and the numbers were not as they used to be kitambo. So let me, number 1, start there. Do you think ODM will survive the political heat that is coming their way now that their party leader?
Okay, first of all, ODM actually is at a crisis. Number one, ODM, the person who was actually bringing all the actors in ODM was His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga. And when Raila Amolo Odinga left, actually that's when we saw how ODM was being dismantled. So ODM now is divided into two. We have now the revolutionarists who are saying that we must maintain the nature of ODM. ODM was known for standing with the people. ODM was known for fighting of the rights of the people. And we have the other end who are now political orphans. So for the political orphans, their agenda is political survival. Okay, political survival means that Baba is no longer there. So if Baba is no longer there, our ultimate goal is to survive. So for us to survive, what we can do is, please, let's join the government, because that is the only way we can survive. That's why most of we have the Linda ground and the Linda Mwananchi. Okay. Now for the Linda ground, their aim is all about political survival. How can they survive within the political ecosystem? Because these are people who have habitualized, okay, power being given to them.
Yeah.
Baba used to fight for them. Okay. These are people who do not actually take the initiative of seeking this seat. There is actually a scenario whereby you are sitting a political seat with desperation. The same way President William Samoei Ruto, he never got that presidency through inheritance or legacy. He fought for it with desperation and he got it. So these are people who are actually power. They were just given. You want an MP? Baba will fight for them. Please, I'm endorsing such and so to be the MP for Migori, for Homa Bay, for Kisumu, for Siaya. And the people loved Raila Amolo Odinga because he was a revolutionarist. He fought for this country.
Yeah.
Okay, and he did a lot and a lot. So that is now the discrepancy or the situation we have in ODM. And you have asked a question, will it have the mantra or the ability to survive come 2027? Then I think for the ones who are actually protecting the ground, they will survive because they have aligned themselves with the government. But for these other ones, the Linda Mwananchi, they have the good they are in fact, they are the opposition we have as we speak today, Wendy. We don't have opposition. Okay? What you have is just battalions of one term and all that. People who do not even challenge government in an upright manner. People who are just seeking relevance and all that. But Linda Mwananchi are the actual opposition. And one thing I can say, Wendy, is Linda Mwananchi must avoid infiltration from the so-called united opposition. Because the moment they join hands, I can attest to you, that will just be a battalion of one term. And them defeating President William Samoei Ruto is as hard as milking a crocodile.
It will not be possible.
It will not. One thing that we need to appreciate as young politicians is President William Samoei Ruto is a political master. He's a political strategist who knows how to survive within the political ecosystem.
Mohammed, I think we can look at where do we stand, because we are foreseeing a time where wananchi, whether they are Lindward or not, they are tired. Will our president still survive with such heat that the people wamesema we are done, it's a wrap, we are tired, ng'ombe imechoka na punda ijapatikana? Will they still survive the political heat regardless of Linda Mwananchi, Linda Ground, Linda Wendy, Linda Mohammed, if the people decide that we are done?
First of all, it's a prayer you are making for me, Linda Mohammed. Okay, one thing I can tell you, Wendy, is to me what I'm doing is I'm examining the political phenomena that we have. And that is the reality that we must accept and appreciate. That's one. Number two, Wendy, the citizens that we are talking about, each and every citizens have their own priorities and they have their own needs. And the government cannot address all the needs at once.
Mhm.
Okay? A good example, now the government is focusing on affordable housing, something that is very, very important, key element
According to
to each and every person. You can't tell me, Wendy, okay, will it be possible that Wendy, tonight you don't have somewhere to go and sleep? So how are you going to feel? And
I
you don't have money in your pocket to pay for lodge.
Mohammed, I wouldn't want to personalize that question, but I will address it hypothetically. Why would you deduct from my pay a house that is not at the peak of the chain of my needs? Those are some of the conversations that we are having on the ground. Who said that that was a priority? You know, on paper it was a very good initiative, but the thing is how it is being rolled out, how it is being implemented, and how we are seeing it being brought back to us ni wizi wa mchana.
Actually, money is something that everyone wants, Wendy. Today, however rich you are, Wendy, you want your money to be your money. And if it is spending, you want it to be. And where the problem came is when actually the government now started taxing what is in your pocket. Okay. And to me, that one, I see it as a way the government is trying to build the nation. Because there is, you see, and one thing you have forgotten, do you know that now we are on a journey to Singapore? Or you are not acknowledging that one?
Mine is to ask questions.
No, do you acknowledge? Because the government is trying to actually take Kenya to a third world country. Okay, and that one it requires money. So to me, that is where I see it. But again, one thing that I usually say is how in everything that happened, citizens must maintain the national unity and be a patriot because
how do we stay united if the project, the implementation, the system is not uniting us?
okay, one thing I can say is, Wendy, if now the citizens call for a national dialogue or they request for a national dialogue with the president, I don't think if that one will be rejected. And ultimately, there will be a solution that will come out of it. Because I believe, if there is something happen, we have 5 ways in which people respond to it. We have competitors. There is a problem. Everybody is competing. Nobody wants to bring a solution. We have the collaborators. We have the compromisers. We have the accommodators. Okay. So to me, what I believe is there is a crisis. And this crisis can be solved if now the citizens request or the nation convene a national dialogue moment whereby the citizens and the people sit, at least converse that we are at a crisis, but all the time going to protest. What are this protest? It's not solving anything at all. Rather, it's adding up problems after problems.
What is the role of dialogue in our government right now? Because I mean, I hear you, and I wanted, actually, that was my question. A good thing you've brought it up. What is the role of dialogue, and has dialogue helped this country right from the time we had the late Honorable Raila Odinga?
It has. It has. Dialogue is one of the tools that is used in nationhood building. Because the moment now you bring the aspect of dialogue, it means there is a problem. And I'm not the only person who have the monopoly to solve this problem. But rather, for us to solve this problem, it requires a collective responsibility. It requires us to blend our ideas, our minds, that how can we solve? What is your take? Or in other words, what problem are we facing? This is the problem that we are facing. Okay. Now, there is that conversation of issues identification. After the issues are identified, then they do issues mapping, stakeholder mapping. And after the stakeholder mapping, now they try to analyze. Now, what can be the possible solution?
Mohammed, we had the fuel crisis not so long ago, and overnight, quote unquote, the dialogue that they had on the roundtable conversation brought about the lifting of the strike. Do you think that brought solutions to the people? Do you think it brought solutions to the problem that was there? And this has been a pattern that has been there for a while now. If we look at our history, has dialogue brought solutions, or has it compromised the solutions that would have eventually been gotten? Because I stand to be corrected, but we've seen a pattern where stakeholders who go to the table for the conversations and for the dialogue benefit themselves, and only a few people get to benefit and get solutions. I would want you to look at the crisis of the fuel crisis that we had in our country.
Wendy, the 2010 Constitution came as a result of dialogue when Kofi Annan brokered the mediation between His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga and Kofi Annan. In fact, the Constitution that we are enjoying today actually came as a result of dialogue. Okay, that's one. Number two, all the changes that we see today, the Independent Constitutional Office, a good example. We have now NCIC. NCIC is actually working on social integration, social cohesion. It came as a result of dialogue. Okay. Dialogue has actually contributed a lot and a lot to this country. Okay. That's one. Number two, and I agree with you. A moment comes when there is infiltration in this dialogue. And that infiltration comes when the people who are sitting on that dialogue and people who are not sensitive in that, they prioritize their self-interest other than the communal interest or the collective interest. That's where the problem comes. And for that one, we can't blame a nation. What we blame is the individual. So the focus now shifts from the nation or the government, it shifts to an individual. Okay. So again, in dialogue, we must have the unit of analysis. Okay, we have the national, we have the community, we have now the individual. Okay, now you can tell me that someone who is self-centered is the person who is sitting on that table of dialogue. That person automatically won't bring a solution out of it. Rather, that person will accommodate or will advocate what favors him or her.
But don't you think Maandamano brings the pressure? Because the ones who are going to the dialogue tables, as you're saying, it's being infiltrated, they're protecting their own interests. So when people take it to the streets, it's because we don't have any other way. There are no alternatives for us to express ourselves and to bring our plights. So take it to the street.
Protesting is a constitutional right.
Correct.
And number two, it creates actually awareness. It informs the government that there is a crisis. Okay? But ultimate or the outcome of that protest, whether we like it or not, whether we acknowledge it or not, is all about dialogue. They all go to the table. The people who actually pioneered that protest, as well as the government, they sit. So when they are sitting, now whom we will be dealing with is the individual that we are bringing them to that table of dialogue. Are they people who are actually prioritizing the national interest or the national goal? Okay, so to me, dialogue is one of the best tools that any person or any nation must embrace. But they should look who is that person who is representing us on that table of dialogue, negotiating on behalf of the millions Kenyans. Okay?
Yeah.
In that, the thing that you are proposing, it should not be something that you just say it by just uttering. Rather, it's something that you examine, you analyze, okay, and you evaluate. How effective can this be to the common mwananchi?
Fantastic. I think we will have you back to unpack more elements of how our government is operating and even the future that we are foreseeing for our 2027 general elections. Mohammed, there are young aspirants who will be on the ballot come 2027 elections. What word of advice do you have for them as you give us your closing remarks for the conversation we've had today?
First of all, thank you so much, Wendy, for having me today this session. And I think it was very, very insightful. And I'm really looking forward so that we can examine so many issues within the political ecosystem. And now to the best advice. To me, I can say that I am competent enough to advise aspirants. But what I can say is, number one, they should have a clear vision of what they want to bring to the table, of those 1 inches, of those citizens that they want to speak on their behalf. Okay? Because in the cadre of society, we have different kinds of people. We have the person who is actually grieved. Okay? They can't air their grievances. They don't have water. They don't have proper health care. They don't have education. Okay? Some of us, we went to school as a result of harambes. So, what do you want to change from that narrative? So, number one, have a clear vision. And that vision that you have, it should be separate from your interests. Separate. Let it be a service delivery. That's number one. Number two, let them start everything from the bottom. Okay? Let them start from the grassroots. Let them be accepted by their own people. Okay, let them be accepted, because the moment you start from the grassroots, those are your people. In as much as you will have the intention of harming them or looting them, again, there is that aspect that will tell you that, young man, these are your people that unawafanyia hivi. So let them start from the grassroots. Number three, let them have a good and a strategic political alignment. Okay. And what I mean by political alignment is they should not separate themselves from the older politicians, from political parties. Those things won't help you, my friend. Okay. That person that you are demeaning, who is at the top, Oscar Sudi, who is being insulted, there is something special that everybody must learn from him that made him to be at that top. Okay. So, and lastly is be open-minded. Okay. Appreciate the human condition. Learn, relearn, and unlearn. Always be humble. I remember a situation whereby we were in a fellowship, and there is actually a civic education leader. He was actually trying to sensitize on the political history of Kenya from 1963. He gave us 10 questions, assessment questions, to understand if we understand the political system from 1963 till date. Amazingly, we were about 30 of us. The highest scored 3 out of 10. The highest. Okay? That means we kind of have this belief that we know everything.
And yet we don't.
Yet we know nothing. Okay, so those are the best advice. And the most important thing is, let us be patriots. Okay, let us be patriot in that anything that you are doing, let it add value to the nation. Okay, and the nation must survive by all means. Okay, so that is all what I can tell. And all I'm saying is that let us love each other. Let us be united. We are all Kenyans. After all, after politics, what must remain is humanity. Tomorrow, Wendy can assist me when I'm in bad situation. Likewise, the same. So all I'm saying is Africa is our business and we are Africa.
Thank you.
And we must be driven by the Pan-African philosophy and Africa Agenda 2063.
Thank you. Mohammed, thank you for helping us unpack. I hope you will create more time for us, because just the way you're saying, we have more facets of politics that we need to unpack. Our political spectrum mileage space should not overcrowd and go beyond humanity. And that is what I've picked, and I appreciate. Thank you for joining us on this episode today here at Speak Up Afrika. Our aim is to continue bringing you conversations that inform, engage, and empower. And just the way Mohammed has said, for you to be empowered, you really, really need to be educated, be part of political participation processes, be part of civic education processes. This is the way to get tools that will empower you to be engaged better and to make better decisions. I will love you and leave you on this episode and see you on the next one. My name is Wendy Loyce. Kwaheri.